Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste children. Today we are going to see in history chapter 1 tracing changes through 1,000 years. In introduction we have a small recap what we studied by last year, that is in 6th standard. In 6th standard we read about the ancient period, that is early man who was hunter gatherer and skilled gatherer. We also saw the people in those days they started agriculture and rise of civilization like Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization. And we also saw the kingdoms and dynasty during that period, that is in ancient period like Gupta dynasty, Mauryan dynasty and Magadha empire. And we also saw some kings like Ashoka, Harshavardhana and Chandragupta. Now, in 7th standard, we are going to see about the medieval period. Indian history is divided into three periods, that is ancient period, medieval period, modern period. Ancient period, it starts from beginning of human till 712 AD. Medieval period is 712 AD to 1707 AD and modern period is 1498 to 1947. As we are in class 7, we are going to read about the medieval period. Medieval India, which refers to 8th to 18th century common era in the Indian subcontinent, and it is divided into two periods, that is early medieval period and late medieval period. Here the early medieval period which lasted from the 18th to the 13th century and the late medieval period which lasted from the 13th to 18th century. In our Indian history, there are so many changes that took place in a geographic and political respect. We can find the traces of changes in our history. The first change is use of maps. As we know, India was a famous country from long time and people from other countries used to visit us mainly for trade purpose. For the same, various travelers have their own map. Like in 1154 CE, an Arab geographer named Al-Idrisi made a map of India with details of geographic features. The main thing you can see in this map is that the map is inverted form. That is, the place we know South India is upper side and also Sri Lanka is upper side of the map. In this map, places like Kanuj and Uttar Pradesh was clearly indicated as these were fruitful for travelers and traders as both. The tagging on the map was done in Arabic language and was created for the Norman king Roger II of Sicily. Also the map named as Tabula Rogerina. The second map that we have with us was made approximately 700 years after the first map by a French cartographer in 1720s. It was quite different from the previous map in all respects. This map is similar to nowadays map and it was used by European merchants and traders. This map was much useful than the previous map as it was more detailed with scientific terms used in it. Here the second change is new and old terminologies. Meaning of the term Hindustan has changed. As we know that the traces of history we found are in different languages. In different languages all the terms depict different meanings. Let us have an example for the term Hindustan. It is derived from the modern Persian word Hindu. In Old Persian, the region beyond the Indus River was referred to as Hindus. Hence, modern Persian, Hindu, and the Hindus, it is combined with Iranian Subkistan, result in Hindustan, land of Hindus. In 13th century, a Persian writer, Minhaj-e-Siraj, he describes the term Hindustan. Political contest to kingdom areas of Punjab, Haryana, and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna by the word Hindustan. In earlier 14th and 16th century, emperors like Babur and Amir Khusro were used the term Hindustan to describe the flora, the fauna, and culture of the citizens of the Indian subcontinent. Let us see the meaning of the term foreigner. In the medieval period, a foreigner was a strange who was not a part of society or culture. Example, a forest dweller was a foreigner to a city dweller. In contrast, two persons from the same village were not a foreigner to each other, even if they followed different villages or caste backgrounds. Present day, someone who is not an Indian is called as a foreigner. Historians is a person who studies and prepares a record of the past on the basis of archaeological and literary evidences. They became a professional occupation in the late 19th century. Let us see what are the role of the historians. The historians have to analyze all the sources while writing the history. A historian's chief responsibility is to examine and interpret all the sources and write an unbiased and systematic historical account. There are some sources for the historians. Let us see what are they. Some sources are available to the historians. They are archaeological evidences and literary evidences. What is archaeology evidences? They are like coins, inscriptions, architecture, paintings. And in literary evidences, we can see manuscripts, teaching of saints, and letters. In archaeological sources, we can see plenty of it, but we are going to see only few over here, like paintings, inscriptions, coins. In that, we are going to see here the first point as a paintings. The paintings of the medieval period, such as the Mohal, Rajasthani, miniature, and Deccani, these were been interesting insight into the palace scenes and hunting expeditions and scenes from mythology. By studying them, we get to know about the customs, traditions, costumes, jewelry, etc. of the medieval period. The other sources of archaeological is inscriptions. Inscriptions are written records generally dealing with royal orders or information about donations to temples and villages. They were engraved on rocks, stones, copper plates, or temple walls. The study of inscriptions is a scientific process and is called epigraphy. These inscriptions give us interesting information about the social, political, and economic condition of people of India in the medieval period. The other source of archaeological is coins. Here we can see the different empires coins like Gupta Empire, Kusana Empire, and Chandragupta I empires. These coins are made up of gold, silver, and copper. They are analyzed and studied to get historical information. The study of coins is called numismatics. The person who studies these coins or numismatics get a lot of information about the political, economic, and cultural life. The other important historical source is literary sources. The literary sources of medieval India can be divided into writings by the Indians and foreign accounts. The literary sources which is most important is manuscripts. Manuscripts were a very important source of information for the medieval period which stretches from 700 to 1750. Now we are going to see about the manuscripts. The manuscripts in those days were copied by scribes. What do you mean by scribes? A person who makes the copy of the manuscript are called as a scribes. In those days, we don't have any printing press. So these scribes, while copying certain words or sentence which were not clear, the scribe made their own guess and they will be copied the sentence. There was a difference between the original document and the copy made by the scribe. As the scribes copied the document, They might added or deleted a word or a sentence. As a result, the manuscript of the same text become different from each other. Documents were written in different handwritings. When the manuscripts were copied many a times over the centuries, the original and copied text became very different from each other. Therefore, historians have to read different versions of the same text and draw their own conclusions. Even though historians benefited with the manuscripts, at the one part, the other end they also faced a many problem with that. Let us see what are all the problems they have been faced. Number one, manuscripts are badly written, which is hardly understandable. Second point, sometimes due to lack of understandability of handwriting, historians are forced to guess what is written. Third point, as scribes copied manuscripts, they also introduced small changes which grew over centuries. Fourth one, historians have to depend upon the copied version as the original manuscripts are rarely found. Historians reconstruct their past. They have been using variety of sources to learn about the past depending upon the period of the study. Like they depend upon the inscriptions, coins, and written records for gaining information, etc. For the study of this period, historians have an array of written records which give them a better insight into the medieval period. Yes, what is that? That is one of the possible reasons for the availability of written records was that paper became widely available. Writers used it to record the history of the rulers, judicial records, and to keep a record of tax collection. The teachings of saints and all commercial transactions were recorded on paper. Yes, now let us see the value of paper. Yes, in the middle of the 13th century, a scholar wanted to copy a book. He did not have enough paper. He washed the writing of the manuscript he did not want, dried it, and used it again. Now we are going to see the next changes, that is technological changes which affected social, political, cultural and economical. Over the 1,000 years between 700 and 1750, we can see a large technological changes which has been affected social and political groups, cultural and economical groups. There are a lot of changes came along this period. Some of them are the Persian wheel in irrigation, the spinning wheel in weaving, firearms in combat, and new foods and beverages like corn, potato, chilies, tea, etc. All these innovations, new technologies, and crops came along with the people who brought other ideas with them as well. As a result, this was a period of economic, political, social, and cultural changes came. Historians divide the past into periods on the basis of economic and social factors to characterize the major elements of different moments of the past. This period is a great mobility period also. Groups of people traveled long distance in search of opportunity. One group of people who became important in this period, that is in medieval period, were the Rajputs, a name derived from Rajputra, which means the son of a ruler. The Rajputs population and the former Rajputs states are found spread through much of the subcontinent, particularly in north, west and central India. From the beginning of the 19th century, Rajput dynasties dominated northern parts of India and the many petty Rajput kingdoms became the primary obstacle to the complete Muslim conquest of Hindu India. The next topic we are going to see Varnas. What mean by Varnas? In the medieval period, the society got divided into Varnas according to which they classify on the basis of caste. Varna's religious change took place instant manner major religious developments during medieval period. The Brahmins, the priests dominated the other social classes. The new relationship got developed. Many Brahmins and their patrons, new rulers searching for prestige. Hinduism, new deities were worshipped and temples were constructed by royalty. Varna is the term for the four broad ranks into which traditional Hindu society is divided. The four Varnas are the Brahmins are priests and scholars, the Kshatriyas, kings, governors, warriors and soldiers, the Vaishyas, cattle herders, agriculturers, artisans and merchants, Shudras, laborers and service providers. With this session, part 1 is completed. Thank you, children.